You are not a lump of flesh. This video was created with deep thought to bring you a natural, human, free, healthy solution for permanent hair removal, an alternative practical approach. Enough with external methods that treat hair as if you are just a body with hair. You have a direct connection to your cells, and the proof is simple. When you pull hair, it hurts. Pain is the body broadcasting information to you, and you can reverse the signal from the inside. Hair grows on your body for free, and you can cause it to stop growing for free. And it becomes simple once you understand the point of view of hair cells, how they function. This video shares the practice of stopping hair production directly at the cellular level. Watch until the end. This can change your life. In this video, you will understand the beauty of the command chain of hair cell chemistry. Hint, you are the CEO. You decide what happens with your hair cells. In this video, you will hear information no one tells you on any channel. You will be exposed to biological knowledge about the hair cell system in a light, accessible language worth listening. Until the end, you will understand the biological logic behind your ability to stop hair production directly from your hair cells. Let's start with the fact that hair cells operate on neural and chemical signals. Hair follicles exist inside a cell that produces hair, and they receive information from outside the cell from the body. Our goal is to transmit information to hair cells, information that allows them to permanently stop producing hair in a healthy, respectful way. Communicating with a body cell is less science fiction and more science plus intention. No lab, no white coat. And you are already connected to the system. It starts in the brain. The brain does not only think, it broadcasts. Body cells do not think. They have no awareness, no ego, and no intention. They work on electrical signals, chemical signals, environmental instructions. Like good workers, where do the signals come from? From the systems connected to you, the nervous system, the hormonal system. Every cell is wrapped in a membrane full of receptors and responds to what comes from outside, and its outside is your entire body. Do you have influence over every cell? Yes, not absolute control, but indirect, consistent, real influence. For example, stress changes cellular activity. Calm changes cellular activity. No one asks, how does the cell know I am stressed? It knows through the signal, and the cell does what it knows how to do. It responds to the signal. This is biological communication. What is a signal? A signal is not a thought, not a sentence, not language. A signal is a physical change felt by the cell, such as a small electrical current or a chemical substance binding to a receptor at the cell entrance, or a change in membrane voltage, which is the gate for signals and substances. How does a cell know what is happening? Every cell has a membrane, which is the gate. On it, receptors, antennas. When your body changes, the cell feels it through electricity via the nervous system and hormones. That is all. No translation, no interpretation. Only response to the electrical signal. The simplest example, you get startled. The body changes electricity and chemistry. Cells contract, secrete. Stop before you even thought anything. The cell does not know why you were startled. It only knows the situation changed. Why is repetition more important than intensity? Because cells learn patterns. A single strong signal is identified as an exception and does not change fixed programs. A signal that repeats is identified as a new state and begins to change cellular activity. This is called adaptation. This is how biology works. This is how cellular conditions change, and behavior changes and results appear later as smooth, hair-free skin. Now the full sequence from human to cell. Stage 1, change of state in the person. It can begin with anything: breathing, emotion, attention, imagery, tension, or relaxation. No words at this stage. Only a state change. Stage 2, the brain and body translate state into physiology. The brain does not ask what you thought. It detects breathing rate, muscle tone, pulse, sense of safety or threat, and activates systems. The nervous system or the hormonal system. Stage 3, creation of an electrical neural signal in the nervous system. This is electricity. Fast, precise, moving along fixed pathways. Stage 4, electricity and chemistry. When the electrical signal reaches the end of a nerve, it does not jump to the next cell. It causes the release of a chemical always. Electricity opens, channels, releases molecules. Molecules move across the gap, bind to receptors. Here, electricity becomes matter. Stage 5, matter moves through the body. These substances can act locally nerve to nearby cell, enter the bloodstream as hormones affect very far away. They are molecules with shape, quantity, and lifespan. Stage 6, arrival at the cell. The cell is wrapped in a membrane with specific receptors. If the substance fits, the receptor it binds activates an internal cascade and changes cellular activity. If not, the cell ignores it. Stage 7, cellular response. Inside the cell, changes occur: work rate, protein production, division, or rest enzyme activity. These are the properties of the cell. One-line summary. A person changes state, then the body produces an electrical signal. Electricity releases matter. Matter binds to the cell, and the cell changes activity. And one important precision: a strong signal once will not cause change, while a weak signal that repeats will cause a fundamental change in cell function. Cells live on statistics, not drama or one-time decisions. Now you see the movie behind the scenes. What happens, for example, in underarm hair cells? In the underarm, there are nerves, blood vessels, cells with receptors. When the general state changes, calm, safety, quiet, the neural signals change, the local chemistry changes, the follicle environment changes. The follicle does not hear calm. It feels different conditions. Is this enough to stop hair growth? First, the critical distinction. General relaxation, meditation, breathing, lowering noise are good baseline conditions, but not necessarily a signal of stop production. So what does count as a signal of no need to produce a sustained decrease in local arousal signals? Not a moment, not once a day, but a pattern. Biologically, it looks like this: fewer arousing neural signals, fewer activity promoting substances, less environmental pressure on the follicle. The cell reads this as no demand, no urgency. The difference between general relaxation and a managerial signal: general relaxation says everything is fine. A managerial signal says this function is not required right now. This is a huge difference. When you imagine smooth hair, free underarms, hair cells do not identify the image. They identify reduced demand for hair production. How does imagining smooth underarm skin create a weak but smart neural signal? Your brain cannot fully distinguish between a gentle physical experience and a clear, calm sensory imagination. When you imagine smooth underarm skin, you feel a state: calm lightness, no need for hair, everything is fine. This is enough to activate sensory areas in the brain, not at the intensity of pain, but at the intensity of presence. So what exactly travels in the nerves? No command, no shutdown, no stop producing now. What travels is a slight change in neural tone to the underarm area, a decrease in local arousal signals. It is like not shutting down a factory with police fire or damage, but stopping the ordering of raw materials. Why is this called a weak signal, but important? Because the body trusts weak, consistent signals, not drama. Hair follicles do not respond to shouting. They respond to consistency, repetition, and a sense of no need. A weak, calm signal: no threat, no pressure, no fight. This is exactly what causes the system to change priorities over time. Why must the imagination be pleasant and not "I want it to stop"? Because want is lack, need is pressure, hope is lack. But broadcasting states like it is already calm, the skin is quiet, the hair has stopped growing are states. The body knows how to reproduce. Remember, the body does not respond to what I want. It responds to what I broadcast as an existing state. I do not ask the body to change. I allow it to remember it is already calm. When hair cells receive calm, they understand there is no need to defend and grow, no demand. They can stop production. So what does nerve electricity really do? First, what it does not do: it does not send calm like a package. It does not tell the cell, hey, relax. It certainly does not turn off a follicle with a button. What it does do: the nerve transmits a change in the general tone of the area. Not a specific message, but a biological atmosphere. Not directly on the hair, but on the environment in which the follicle makes decisions. Why is this enough to influence a follicle? Because a hair follicle is not a soldier, not a machine, not an enemy. It is a biological system that responds to one question: is there a need for production now? When nerve signals broadcast, no pressure, no alert, no reason to accelerate. The follicle simply downshifts. Not dramatic, not immediate, but stable. The nerve does not tell the cell what to do. It tells it what kind of world it lives in. And in a calm world, hair is not needed, because hair is about protection and necessity. When there is no necessity, cells produce less and eventually stop producing hair. Biologically, this shows as fewer signals that increase rate, fewer production stimuli, more maintenance, rest signals. If consistent, the cell adapts activity downward. What does smooth skin imagination do? It creates focused calm without drama, without fluctuations. Repeated, this is exactly the pattern cells believe. Summary: imagination with emotion changes bodily state. State change is a change in electrical pattern. Electricity always activates chemistry. Chemistry does not shut down hair cells. It stops maintaining production. Repetition of state change is cellular adaptation that leads to reduced hair production until total stop, experienced as smooth, hair-free skin. With repetition of 1 minute each time, one or more of the following happens. Receptors at hair cell entry become less sensitive. Some receptors appear less on the membrane, the gate of the cell. Internal activation cascades weaken, meaning even the DNA receives less demand for production and does not replicate, and hair production stops with repetition. This is called down-regulation, not because you turned off the cells, but because there is no demand. How does the cell understand there is no need for production? The cell does not understand stories. It sees data, fewer production-promoting substances, less receptor binding, less internal activation, and it does what every cell does. It saves energy. Hair production is energetically expensive. If there is no demand, it stops investing. Daily imagination does not work because it convinces. It works because it changes biological statistics. The cell asks one question: is this still required? If day after day the answer is not really, activity goes down. What happens on a normal day without imagination? In regular life, sometimes stress, more neural firing, sometimes boredom or calm. Less firing, sometimes stimulation, shaving, pulling, obsessive thought. Every time there is stimulation change, small drama, electricity reaches the nerve end. Vesicles release substances. The follicle gets activity reinforcement, not an explicit order, just an active environment. Why the feeling of it already stopped is so important. Because when a woman feels it is already behind her, there is no alert, no checking, no stimulation. And that quiet is the strongest signal. Biologically, this is called below activation threshold. The cell says there are no conditions for the project. There is always activity, but not all activity creates external results. What matters is crossing the minimum functional threshold. Below the threshold, no external expression. Above the threshold, growth appears. What is electrical dose threshold? Every cell has a firing threshold, activation, threshold, response, threshold. Below a certain value, the cell does not respond in action. Above it, it does. This is a basic biological law. Like a light switch with sensitivity, there is current, but not enough to light the bulb. Why is there always activity? Because the cell must stay alive, maintain, repair, clean. Maintenance is not production. A hair follicle can be alive without producing hair. This is a natural state. How do you stay below threshold without effort? Do not reinforce the opposing signal. Everything that raises noise raises threshold crossing. Obsessive checking, friction, unnecessary stimulation, dramatic thought. The trick: neutrality. Not I do not care, but it is not a story. 1 minute, a short daily signal, same rhythm, works better than a long meditation. Once a week, cells count averages, not experiences, same state, not stronger. Trying to deepen raises fluctuations. Recreating a familiar state lowers sensitivity. Boredom is an excellent sign. And first rule of hair removal: first relax. Not as a slogan, as mechanics. This is how it looks biologically without decoration. Stress equals neural firing. More firing equals more substance release. More substances equals more follicle activity, reinforcement. Calm does the opposite. Lowers firing, lowers release, lowers dose, brings you below threshold. This explains why any method in the world, laser, electrolysis, natural, energetic, whatever, if done on a tense, checking, fighting body, works against itself. Calm is not a bonus. It is a starting condition. This also explains why some women did fewer treatments and it worked, and others did everything right and it stalled. The difference was not the device, not the method, the state of the nervous system during the process. So, yes, first relax. Then everything else even gets a chance to work. It does not mean be zen. It means no fight, no urgency, no obsessive measuring, functional calm, working quiet, and you are already there. The solution is to understand the mechanism. Stop fighting it, work with it in calm consistency, understanding the mechanism, because when you understand, there is no enemy, no stubborn hair, no personal failure. Stress drops, and that is already a signal change. Knowledge itself is neural calm. Neural calm equals activity reduction. Respect the mechanism, not emotionally sticky love. Love here means do not push, do not rush, do not demand immediate results. It tells the body, I trust you to know when to lower activity. This is exactly the signal the follicle needs to go below threshold. Be calm with it unconditionally. Not calm if it works, not calm if there is no hair, but calm even when there is calm, when it is not visible yet, calm when it is not perfect. Because every condition is stimulation, noise, neural activity, persist without drama, consistency. Here is short, daily, unexciting, even boring, and that is excellent. Boredom is a no-event signal, the important precision, and this is liberating. This is not a contract with the body. It is creating conditions. And from my personal experience, hair disappeared completely. But I must responsibly say, sometimes it leads to visible stoppage, sometimes to significant slowing, sometimes to peace of mind that stops running your life. Each of these is a real change. Experiment with calm love, joy, and remember the body is always on your side. Final sentence to remember, I am not removing hair. I am stopping the system that maintains it. This is mature. This is smart. This is the only thing that works without war. This is the moment you received the wider picture of the body, not just the mechanism, but the whole game. We are used to thinking, I did something, so it should happen. But biology thinks, what is the average over time? A cell does not respond to an event. A cell responds to statistics. That is why sometimes nothing seems to happen for a long time. And then something changes without drama. Not because something new happened, but because enough quiet accumulated. Decline in activity always looks messy. Another thing people do not know, biological decay is not linear. It looks like this. One day, yes. One day, no. A bit less. Suddenly more. Then less again. This is not regression. It is a system searching for a new threshold. Those who understand do not panic. Those who do not raise noise and restore activity. Minimal activity always remains, and that is a sign of health. This may be the most important. If there were zero activity, it would mean cellular death. The real goal is quiet activity, maintenance only without external expression. This is a healthy, correct state. You did not defeat the body. You reached an agreement. The most real sign it is working. Not appearance, not magnifying glass, not daily checking, but caring less. When that happens, activity is almost always already decreasing. From how do I stop something to how does a biological system learn to stop by itself? This is a leap of maturity, understanding, and quiet. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.